Hey everybody, my name is Raise the Glass One, and this is my Sorcerer build for the Dragon Bones patch. To start things off, I'm a Dark Elf. With the change to Dragon Bones, we've gone to dual fire, and we're not using Lightning Wall, we're not using Lightning Staves, and so Dark Elf's fire bonus is actually going to give us a little more DPS. Now if you don't want to shell out the cash to race change, or if you don't have another Dark Elf Sorc sitting around, you should know Altmer's still in a great spot. There's no real reason to freak out about it. We're also a vampire, just to get that extra sustain. We're running the Apprentice Stone. We're running Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Now, of course, you can run Witch Mothers, but it's just a little bit worse. You should, take a little bit of cash, go buy some Perfect Row, and just go ahead and run the Citrus Fillet. For our gear, we're running 5 pieces of Mechanical Acuity. If you're not on the Acuity train yet, it's just the best set out there for Magicka DPS right now. You really need to be running it. For our monster helms, I'm running a Lambris. Now I'm picking a Lambris here because it's going to work pretty well in every situation. But if you want, you can actually use your monster helm spot to optimize for individual situations and maybe change it between fights or change it for different trials. So a Lambris is going to do pretty good single target. It's going to do pretty good AoE damage, and it's going to proc pretty often. But if you were able to go close enough to the enemy that you could be within around 8 meters, you could actually wear Zaan, and it's going to do a lot of damage. Okay, Zaan's about a 1k, 1.5k DPS increase over a Lambris. The only thing is, it's a short range monster helm. You see here that the beam breaks if you move 10 meters away. You might think from that it can proc 10 meters away. It actually can't. You need to be about 8 meters away to proc that beam. So you need to basically be in melee range, and it's not going to work out in every single fight, but I do recommend you try Zaan as much as you can. It's a great helm, and it works really well in the Sorcerer. Slime Craw is, of course, very good in specific situations. You shouldn't run it all the time, but if for any reason your healer can't be giving you combat prayer, that Minor Berserk from Slime Craw is going to be really good. You noticed we were running 15k health, and if that makes you uncomfortable, you could also keep Narineth or Scoria in your inventory, and maybe wear those if you had health concerns in a particular trial. Maybe you're trying out VMAL hard mode for the first time. That's a lot of damage to learn to deal with when you're still new to the trial. Go ahead and throw Scoria on. Don't stress out about that. Don't feel too bad. There's nothing wrong with needing a little bit of extra health to learn some content. Now for our jewels, I'm running 3 pieces of Willpower. Willpower at the 3-piece level is just a little better than Master Architect or Moondancer. That's why I'm using it. I would stay away from Infallible Aether, but if you don't have Willpower, it's totally fine to run Moondancer or Master Architect. You can also do what I've done here. I don't like Scoria very much, so I actually have a healthy Willpower ring in my inventory. And if I need extra health, this is actually how I do it. I just throw the ring on before we go into, whatever trial. I used it recently in VMAL, I've used it in AA, I've used it in VAS, anywhere where you just feel like, a little extra health would really help here. For our weapons, we're running a Maelstrom Inferno Staff with a weapon and spell damage enchant. If you don't have a Maelstrom Staff, you just need to go get one, alright? There's no build for the Sorcerer that is going to be okay for trials that doesn't have a Maelstrom Staff. It should be your first priority to get one. I have 2 Maelstrom Staffs in my inventory. This weapon damage enchant is better for AoE. This shock damage enchant gives me a little better single target. So if I'm in a true single target fight, the Manti, the Serpent, anything like that, I'm running this staff. But if there are adds, I'm running this staff. For my front bar staff, I'm running an Asylum's Perfected Inferno Staff. Now I understand that this staff is somewhat rare. You're only going to get it by clearing +2 or by getting lucky on the weekly, okay? So if you don't have this staff, you can run an imperfect version, but I think what I would do is I'd switch my Willpower jewelry out to Moondancer jewelry, and then I'd run 1 piece of body gear that's Moondancer. And then my staff would be a crafted Acuity staff, okay? That's what I'd do if I didn't have a perfected staff. Now for my enchant, I'm running flame damage. Flame damage I've got up front instead of shock, because if I have my shock enchant on the back staff, this is going to proc about twice as often on my rotation as the back bar enchant will. So I want flame damage to be up top because flame damage is going to get buffed by engulfing flames, and I'll get a little more damage out of it. There's another option. You could run an absorb Magicka enchant. Now the biggest weakness that sorcerers have right now is their sustain is not great. They really need their healers to be sending out lots of orbs to keep perfect uptime on Ellie Drain, stuff like that. So this absorb Magicka enchant is going to do a ton to help your sustain if you're struggling. It's also not a, not a huge DPS loss. It's a little bit of a DPS loss, but it's definitely okay to run. I was running it all through Clockwork City, but with the synergy changes, I put it away and put a flame damage enchant on my staff. Now I'm going to show you my rotation. We've got Elemental Blockade, Liquid Lightning, Curse, then I'm going to do 5 Force Pulses. If I use an ulti, I just put it in place of a Force Pulse. Elemental Blockade, Liquid Lightning, 3 Force Pulses. Frag procced, just put it in place of a Force Pulse. Come to the back bar, do Curse again. 3 Force Pulses, there's a Frag proc. Blockade, Liquid. 5 Force Pulses, Frag proc. Alright, now I'm going a little slow, that's why the timer's off there. So we did that. Alright, did you follow that? It's okay if you didn't, and here's why. I've written a Google Doc, it's about 8 pages, and it gives some tips and tricks for sorcerers, what to do with your frag proc, stuff like that, and I've attached it in the description of the document. So I'll say my rotation again, but if you don't catch it, it's totally fine. Just open up that Google Doc, you'll see it written down. You'll also see some gear setups. So it's 2 dots, Curse, 5 Force Pulses, okay? Then it's 2 dots, 3 Force Pulses, Curse. Then it's 2 dots, 5 Force Pulses, Curse. Then it's 2 dots. Oh no, I'm out of Magicka, what do I do? Alright, let's talk about what to do. Oh, first let me say it's 2 dots, 6 more Force Pulses. That's going to help you reset your curse timer, and you just repeat that. So, we ran out of Magicka, obviously, we don't have Drain or anything like that. So let's talk about what to do in that situation. A lot of people, the first thing they say when they see my rotation is they stress out that there's no heavy attacks built into the rotation. The reason why is with Drain and Orbs and all that kind of stuff, I don't need heavy attacks. But if you did need a heavy attack, what you should do is take out your last 2 Force Pulses and add a heavy attack. So we'll do it like this. Blockade, Liquid, Curse. We're going to do 3 Force Pulses. Now we're going to charge a heavy attack, Bar Swap, Light Attack, Blockade, Liquid. 1 Force Pulse, charge a heavy attack, Bar Swap, Light Attack, Curse. So the reason you put it at the end is because it's kind of difficult to know what to do. Should you heavy attack and then try and light weave again and do your skill, whatever? Well, what you should do is you should heavy attack, hit Bar Swap in between. Don't go into first person. That's just for role playing. Hit Bar Swap while you're charging your heavy. That'll cue the Bar Swap. And then when you swap bars, okay, here's some attacks. Here's a heavy attack. Swap. You can go right in to your rotation again. You can even hit that light attack after you swap. So let's look at it again. Q, light attack, go. Excellent. The other thing that people say about my rotation, first, they're a little worried about sustain. They want to know how to heavy attack. The other thing they're worried about is losing track of curse. They feel like my rotation is kind of long, and they just don't think it's possible to do a trial. Well, the first thing to say is that I was running this rotation in Homestead with no buff trackers, and I was doing it well. So it's definitely possible with practice. I won't deny it's difficult, but it's definitely possible. The other thing is look at this. Look at that. Right up there. See that at the top of the screen? It's counting your curse timer down for you. It's impossible to lose track of curse because the game tells you when it's going to explode. I don't even count my Force Pulses anymore. You just do your rotation, you watch that timer. Maybe you even mess up. Oh no, I did 6 Force Pulses. What am I going to do? I'm just going to do 2 Force Pulses here because I can see that timer. Look at that. Works like a charm. Alright, so that's my rotation. Let's talk about ultis real quick. Storm Atro is really, really cool. He's a baller. Look at that. Alright, so here's the deal with Storm Atro. He has this really awesome synergy called Charged Lightning. Gives major berserk out to your stam DPS. You should definitely use this in any single target situation that you can. Now there's some fights where it's not going to work super well. The World Shaper in VSO is going to kill him, okay? The negates in VMAL on the twins, they're going to stun him. In the mage fight in Ethereum Archive, he might chain lightning. So you have to be careful. You can't just throw him without thinking. You also need to aim him towards your stam DPS. But in most situations, in single target situations, you're going to be able to use the Storm Atro, and it's going to be awesome, alright? The other thing you're going to use is you're going to use Shooting Star. Now, I'm not going to suggest that you use Destro ulti right now. The reason is that Destro ulti is bugged. The fire version of Destro ulti is supposed to get 10% extra damage, but it's not. And since we're not running any lightning staves, we'd have to use the bugged version of the fire Destro. So I don't want to do that, so I'm going to use Shooting Star for my AoE. It's working really well, it's getting ulti back. Is it as good as Destro? Maybe not if Destro is fixed, but since Destro's broken, this is what I'm using. So those are the 3 ultis. You might want to use Negate in some very specific situations, like that Gargoyle in the Warrior fight on Hellra, but that's the only one that comes to my head right now. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to link a video, or I'm going to edit a video that's a raid test from my team last week. And in this raid test, I do 58k DPS on the raid dummy. Now, you probably aren't going to go into a raid dummy and do that much DPS right away. And the reason is that a raid dummy tests your whole team, okay? So if your healers aren't keeping up great uptime on their buffs, if your tanks aren't keeping up great uptime on their buffs, if your whole squad of DPS aren't all doing a great job, then you won't have good uptime on Alkosh, Minor Vuln, Crusher, Torugs. Maybe your fight time will be too long and you'll run out of Magicka. But I just wanted to show you about where I think you should be hitting with an optimal raid setup. I believe that 60k is achievable. I've done 59, 59.5 with an Absorb Magicka enchant quite a few times. Let's see, on the 3 mil, I think you're hitting around 39-40, so if you have someone throwing Ellie Drain for you, you should be around there. And if you're doing it by yourself on a 3 mil, I think you'll be around 37, 38. So 3 mil dummies don't matter, they're just there to practice your rotation. Honestly, what I would do if you wanted to learn the rotation is put on Seducer and get an Atro stone and just come out here and just smack the dummy until you feel really good with your curse times. I do this all the time, and I get, you know, 17k DPS, and people come up and give me Ellie because they think I want it, and it throws off, you know, my timing. It gives me 20k DPS or something. 3 mil dummies are just for learning your rotations, so that's what I do to practice instead of trying to switch bars 87 times to get your Ellie Drain up. But hopefully this video can give you an idea of what this build's capable of. Please let me know if you have questions. Like I said, I've got a Google Doc linked into the description of this video. I'm going to try and keep it updated throughout the patch, so if anything comes up or if I find anything new, I'll let you know on there. And you guys, if you know me on Discord or PSN, feel free to send me messages, raise the glass one, and I'll try and answer them. Thanks for your time.